What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? If you aren't sick of hearing my voice already today after the NBA 2K League broadcast, appreciate you guys joining me for this solo episode of Virtual Courtside. Dirk is obviously very sick, so we're giving him the week off so we can rest and recover, get ready for the turn, the ticket, and of course the playoffs. So just wanted to do a quick episode coming off of tonight. Obviously, we had some incredible NBA 2K League basketball and just a really fun night for I think everybody involved except for Heat Check Gaming and Knicks Gaming, who were probably the favorites coming into tonight on both ends of the floor, and I think we just saw them eventually struggle. So we'll get into both series a little bit here, and we'll close it out by doing some predictions heading into the Western Conference semifinals tomorrow. This will be a pretty short episode. I'd be surprised if you get 15 to 20 minutes out of me. I am obviously very tired, and we have a lot of great games coming up the rest of the week. So JT will be on with me the rest of the week to talk about fives. He's playing a wager at midnight tonight, so no JT, just me on a little ISO ball here going into tomorrow night. So let's start with the Wiz Heat Check series, a real breakout series for Benzo. He's been playing really good ball for most of the season so far, but seeing him break down defenses, come off those screens, hit guys in the corner. He made a couple of amazing skip passes over to the right side to Nudini over and over and over again. It did seem at some point that it was almost a little bit too much passing to Nudini. It ended up being his bailout option throughout the rest of the night, but was really impressed by Benzo's control, really impressed by how he responded. He started off the first quarter of game one by turning the ball over a bunch, and he just kept going and going and going. But I think for me with him, what really impressed me overall was the defense. He was causing a lot of havoc for Heat Check. They had him playing really high up on the hash to to get out in the breaks, but he was causing a lot of mayhem for both Tay and Kai. And, it's really rare to see a rookie point guard, A, want to take on that responsibility, and also B, just be able to make such an impact in such an important spot. I think he really changed the game defensively. But, Benzo on his own was fantastic. I think the rest of the Wiz are really good too. B Rich, man, will go down in history as probably one of the 5 best shooting guards to ever grace this league. I mean, he just always makes the right play at the right time, both ends of the floor. His shot selection is flawless. His defensive rotations are fantastic. He always seems to come up with a timely steal or a timely contest just when you need him to. And I thought he was great. Awkward too, man. Tonight was a clinic on how to defend shooting guards as a lockdown. It's different. My experience in the NBA 2K League, obviously I'm not a player, but as somebody who watches a lot of this, lockdowns have to approach shooting guards far differently than they do point guards. It's a different battle. The guy across from you is looking to get a bucket on you. He's looking to send you reeling. He's looking to, send you digging into a screen so he can get an open look at the top of the key. For point guards, it's a little bit more playmaking based. You have to kind of hedge against where you think they might pass the ball and stay in lanes and rotate. But when you're going toe to toe against Kai, he's looking to score. He's looking to attack the 3-point line. And I thought that Awkward did a really good job of putting him in weird situations and forcing him into tough shots that I don't think that Kai has really been challenged with a lot so far in group play. I think this Heat Check team, not to say that as a whole they weren't tested, but this Wiz team really punched them in the mouth defensively. And for a Heat Check team that plays at such a fast pace and they're so aggressive offensively, they want to get up as many threes as possible. I like it. It's just you saw it tonight that when you really slow them down and get them into the half court, they just don't really have the answer to it. I think when Tay is looking to score, the team looks better. When Kai's looking to score, the team looks better. But they almost need Tay to have the ball more and to play make more off the dribble against these more difficult, gritty half-court defenses of the East, because this will not be the last time we see this issue for Miami. So, it's just the little things at the end of the day that kind of alert you when you see Tay go off scoring, but they still can't get any real offensive momentum going. They were scoring a little bit, but again, it was a completely different battle for them tonight. And I thought the Heat looked flummoxed. They looked a little bit out of ideas, which I was not expecting. One thing that the Wiz also did a really good job is they cut down on the turnovers big time. Heat Check Gaming, one of the top 5 teams in turnovers forced. They love turning those turnovers. That's a lot of turn words right there. They love making those turnovers into threes on the other end, and that's how they end up flooding these teams, man. They it's not like they're not front runners. They force a lot of turnovers and then hit threes off those turnovers. So these scores seem a lot more inflated because they make and take a lot of open threes on the break. And I think one thing you saw from the Wizards tonight that was immensely impressive was how active they were of getting back on the break. Like, Miami would get out there, it'd be like a 2-on-2, and then wham, all of a sudden, all five guys to the Wiz are back, and the Heat's momentum is totally stopped. They have to get into their half-court offense. But by that time, there's like 14 seconds on the shot clock, so they got to move fast. And I think the Wiz just did an amazing job of forcing Miami to play at their tempo. And then that game, too, was just an absolute smack around by the Wiz. That was a classic Wiz DG win. I thought Type did a really, really good job tonight, too. He deserves a special shout out. He's just a beast of an inside center, man. The defense, the rebounding, the easy slip buckets. He's such a great outlet for that team. And, I remember during the pre-draft process, people were throwing all these different like rookie centers at the Wiz. Like, oh, you got to take this guy. I remember like Lux was a huge one. I know that he was Benzo's center during pre-draft, but there's just something about having an original 102 guy who knows how to bang it down low with the other bigs of this league, knows how to get positioning, knows how to rebound, knows when to go up, knows when to pass out, knows when to call timeout. Like his basketball IQ and his 2K IQ is so high. He's seen it all. And I thought tonight was a really, really good example of how an inside center needs to play against a popper. I thought Type really put the blueprint out there, boxing out, getting the big time rebounds, not allowing them to get offensive rebounds and kickouts for more threes, hedging on the popper when you need to, rotating well with your power forward to make sure that the popper doesn't constantly get open at all these different parts of the court. I thought it was a really impressive performance by Type. He, to me, if Benzo didn't go absolutely nuts, I think Type would be my MVP for that series. He was really, really good. And just a great performance from one of the best centers that this league has really ever seen. So don't really have too much else on the Wiz Heat series. I think this Wiz team has a huge challenge ahead of them with this Raptors team. They play way, way different to Miami. They're a much better. I don't want to say much better. That's not fair. I think they execute way better in the half court offensively. And this Wiz team is going to be put into a different situation here because Awkward's going to probably be back on Antoine Love. And like I talked about at the beginning, as a lockdown, defending point guards is so much different than defending shooting guards, especially when you're going up against a point guard like Antoine Love. And that leads me into the Raptors Uprising and Knicks Gaming series. Maybe I don't want to put too much hyperbole on this series. I think it was just a really damn good series from the Raptors. And, they have this new era of a team, they don't really have like elite players across this team. They have Antoine Love and a bunch of good players. And sometimes that's all you need, especially when you have a superstar who is playing like this. And, I think Antoine Love really stamped himself tonight as probably the clubhouse leader for MVP, probably between him and Bear right now, if we're really going to be honest with ourselves. And, I know that coming into the year, MVP was a goal for Antoine Love. And I think it's fair to say that he's very close to that goal, especially because, it doesn't include 3v3 this year. We have separate awards, but just really impressed by Antoine Love's control of the game. I thought that run that they went on in the second quarter of game 2 was really all Antoine Love. I know we'll look at symptoms as the guy who got hot and started hitting all those shots, but a lot of those shots are being set up by Antoine, and also for him to have the IQ and the wherewithal to know, like, hey, my dude is next to me is absolutely on fire. Like, I'm just going to keep giving him the ball. Let's keep calling plays. Let's keep calling off ball screens. Let's keep just getting this guy open because he's absolutely cooking. And that's not to say that other point guards don't do that, but the best of the best know how to do it. They know how to get the ball in those guys' hands. They know how to allow they know how to let those guys dictate the tempo when they're hot like that. And then once symptoms kind of cooled off in that third quarter, Antoine started to take over again. The mid-range jumpers were just disgusting tonight. And once that green machine got going, the threes started to get up, and then the Knicks had to hedge on his threes, and everybody else was open. It was a absolutely perfect game plan for a Raptors Uprising GC team that really needed a win like this. Dirk and I have been talking talking a lot this year about how important belief is when it comes to this league and almost all competitive circles. Belief is the most important thing that you can have. If you believe as a team that you're going to win, that's step one. You have to have that belief. And I think for this Raptors team, they needed a win like this. They needed a belief. Like, they were good in group stage. They were 4-2. They struggled a little bit here and there. They had a decent net rating, decent numbers. But this is the kind of win where you can watch the film on and you'll be like, hey, we're damn good. We can play with anybody. If we're running the Knicks off the floor like this, it's a really impressive win for the Raptors. And, on the flip side for Knicks gaming, this is something that I alerted everybody to at the end of week 1. We didn't do an end of week 2 pod because, again, Dirk was sick, but this was something that I alerted everybody to, that I was really, really confused as to why this Knicks gaming defense was so bad. And it's bad. Like, don't get me wrong. There's no question about it. It's bad. And I think it comes down to the fact that nobody is really sure, like, what their role is on this team defensively. Like, Malik is playing secondary lockdown out there over Radiant so they can get the shooting guard on the break, and I totally understand that, but that's never really been Malik's game. He had a couple of nice plucks tonight, but eventually he just kind of started getting moved around by symptoms, and when they started putting him in different actions and, getting guys all over the court, Malik just kind of ended up looking a little lost there. Feast and Sick both acted like they were playing center tonight, which is concerning considering Feast is supposed to be playing power forward and Sick's supposed to be playing this kind of weak side off ball, but they were both trying to play back end pick and roll, but both also be rebounders and both also be screeners on offense. Like, it's not even like they have two centers out there, two power forwards. They just, Feast and Sick have clearly not figured out what their relationship is supposed to be on both ends of the floor yet. And that's not to say that they're bad players, but I think it just goes to show that basketball is still the ultimate team game. And when you aren't on the same page and the communication just isn't right, it doesn't matter what names that you have. Your defense is going to look as bad as the Knicks did tonight. So, I'm not giving up on the Knicks this season. They added Feast. It's a big new addition for them. They added Sick One. It's a big new addition for them. They're trying to figure out this defense. So I'm not going to give up on them. But this is a huge test for a team that I think everybody, had as a favorite to win the Eastern Conference this year. Not even just for the tip-off, but like when we get to the playoffs, like I think on paper this Knicks team still probably has the most talent of any team in the East. And tonight should be a real wake-up call for them of like, hey, like we need to get back in our bag. We need to figure out the defense again. We need to kind of start from the drawing board and figure out what the hell just happened, because they got absolutely smoked. They got outscored by like 45 over the course of the last 2 games after going up in the first quarter of game 2. Like, it's just, it wasn't pretty tonight for them. But, I know that they know that, and I'm sure that this Knicks gaming team is going to come out like their hair is on fire when we get back to group stage. But, we warned everybody about their defense. And when they got on stage, the Raptors just totally ripped them apart. So shout out to the Raptors, shout out to the Wiz. One last thing I do want to mention when it comes to this, and this is a little bit hyperbolic, this is a little bit crazy, but I'll just say it because I've been thinking about it on the walk home from the studio tonight. For all the love that we've given to shooting guards over the year, and it's very well deserved. There's so much talent at the 2-guard position this year, and has been the last couple years. Kai's winning MVPs now, Johnny, all that stuff. There's just something about having a better point guard than the other guy. There's just something about having a better PG than the other team, and it can't be replicated at any other position. You can, the other team can be better 2 through 5, but if I've got the better point guard discernibly, I can win any game, especially when you have point guards as good as Benzo and as good as Antoine Love. And that's not to say that Tay is bad. That's not to say at all that Radiant's bad at all, but there's just something about having the point guard who is at the top of their game. They're hot, they're playing well, they're seeing the floor, and they're just running the game. There's just something different about it. There's always been something different in this league when your point guard is the best player and he's playing like it, he's acting like it, he's talking like it. It is a completely different experience. And I think you saw that tonight. You have a Knicks gaming team that is very predicated around Malik's volume shooting. You have a heat check team that is extremely predicated around Kai's 3-point shooting. It table sets the entire offense. And I think you just kind of saw the weakness in that plan sometimes. There's a weakness that comes with your point guard being your best player, but sometimes the other team just has the best point guard, and that guy goes absolutely crazy. It's a special part about this league, man. Point guards have always been a rare breed. That's why point guard has always been the most important position in this league, not even close. And I think you saw that again tonight, that between Benzo and Antoine Love, when you got point guards like that who are playmaking, who are scoring, who are making defensive plays, who are running the break like they did, it is just a completely different animal to try to stop than when you have a shooting guard who's a great scorer off the dribble, right? Like, those guys are still so necessary. But yeah, man, just love seeing elite point guard play in this league. There's just nothing else really like it. It is a really, really fun experience to watch as a fan and as a broadcaster, of course. Okay, let's transition over to the West for tomorrow. Two amazing series: Bucks Gaming taking on T-Wolves Gaming, and then Warriors Gaming Squad against Pistons GT. We'll start with T-Wolves Bucks. If there's any team who I think is going to be able to really crack this T-Wolves Gaming team, I think it'll be Bucks Gaming. I think that the Warriors did a really good job of actually showing how to slow down this T-Wolves team. The only thing that the Warriors couldn't do was shoot threes. Bucks Gaming have been pretty good shooting the ball from three. CP starting to catch fire a little bit. Johnny's starting to get into rhythm. I'd like to see a little bit better three-point shooting from Dimes off the popper, but he's at 40% for the year, so not too bad. I think this Bucks team, I feel really good about them coming into this matchup. I think at the bare minimum, they're going to be able to force this to go three. They've done a really good job in the past going up against young rosters. They like throwing a lot of different defensive looks at them. They like throwing a lot of different offensive play calls at them, switching sides, off-ball screens. They try to create a lot of chaos and confusion to put those guys into situations that they're not used to. So expect tomorrow to see Tutak, Iggy Polo, Range even, put into a lot of these different rotations, getting them off their primary matchups, trying to, get ISOs on Tutak or get ISOs on Bear to Beast. Try to shake up the defense a little bit so you're not just banging your head against the same wall over and over again. Wouldn't be surprised also if CP really tries to attack Range. Range has had a very good season so far at lock and has been a pretty good on-stage lock as well. But I think, with the way that CP played to close out last week, I think he's got something in his bag for Range. On the T-Wolves Gaming side, this is a tough matchup for them. I think this is an even harder matchup for them than Warriors Gaming Squad. The Warriors love to play slow. The Bucks will play any speed with you, and they will compete their absolute asses off, regardless if you're playing 100 miles an hour or 50. They love high-scoring games. They had a bunch of great five-out duels with the Pistons already this year. They were able to, I know they lost the first one. The second one isn't really coming to me right now over the result of that game, but I just remember that it was really, really fun. I think the Pistons ended up pulling it out. Yeah, they did. The Pistons ended up pulling out the second one by the skin of their teeth. Beast Move ended up hitting a game winner after the Bucks pulled it back. I think they were down 20 plus at one point, came all the way back, tied the game, and then Beast Move was able to hit a nice shot. He's been so good this year. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but yeah, this Bucks gaming team has played the five out a lot. They know what to expect. They know how to play Bear. They've gone up against this T-Wolves gaming team a million times. I think the X factor for this T-Wolves gaming team is going to be Polo. I think Polo and the way that he's been playing recently creates such a crazy dynamic offensively. You just never really know where he's going to pop up. As a popper, I think we've seen a lot of centers this year shoot the ball from the top of the key. Polo has been shooting these balls from everywhere. He's been in the corners. He's been on the wings. He's been one of the more interesting poppers that we've had this year. And I think he bodes a really, really difficult matchup for this Bucks gaming team that is going to have to rotate a lot to get out on him. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Retro, the young power forward, to try to expose him and get him into the pick and roll, try to set some of those high ball screens that T-Wolves gaming loves to do, get those flare outs off the screens, opens up Iggy Mo in the corner when they get the slip to drop. So there's a lot of things that the T-Wolves are going to throw at this Bucks team to really get them out of rhythm. And I think this is going to be another vintage classic series between two of the best franchises in the league. I'm tentatively going to say I got Bucks in 3. I think this T-Wolves team is really, really good. I think losing here is probably better for their season. I think you lose here, you take one on the chin, you come back to the turn. Maybe they even win the turn. But I really like this T-Wolves team. I really like this Bucks team. I think it's going to be a great series. And I'll go Bucks in 3 just to scrape it out at the end. Warriors Gaming Squad versus Pistons GT. This is going to be a ridiculous matchup. There's a part of me that is really worried that the Warriors are going to continue to not hit threes. They play game one on the B stage, and if Bucks Gaming, T-Wolves Gaming goes to game three, that means they're going to play game two also upstairs on the B stage. So I'm kind of taking that into my planning here. I'm trying to keep everything aligned. But there is a real chance here that if the Warriors don't start to hit threes, I'm worried that this could end up a really nasty flood for Pistons GT, because with the way that they play five out and the amount of threes that they get up, they will crush you offensively if you give them the chance. And this Warriors team, they play great defense. They're one of the best defensive teams I've ever seen, but even the best defenses can crack under the pressure of immense three-point shooting, especially from a five-out offense that creates as many open looks as Pistons GT does. I have no doubt that the Warriors are going to be prepared for this matchup. They did a great job last year in the playoffs of being prepared for that version of five-out, and honestly, the version that the Pistons are running this year isn't all that dissimilar from what we've seen before. So I think the Warriors will be ready for this matchup, but they have to get their three-point shooting up to snuff. If Mama has another, horrible week where he's like 2 for 10 in one game and then 3 for 8 in another, like, they're just not going to win this series. They need Mama to get his three-point shooting up to snuff. They also need their corners to start shooting a little bit better. I think Kenny has been weirdly tentative shooting the ball this year. I think it's because Locks can't really shoot over guards like they were able to last year. I think those contests are getting in a little bit more than we saw, and Kenny was the master of shooting over those guards and shooting over late closeouts last year. It's just a different league build, and I think the Warriors as a shooting team are still trying to figure it out. I think Cease has been really good, but I think you've even seen from him that he's a little bit different of a player this year. I feel like how power forward is meant to be played on this league build doesn't really play into Cease's strengths as much as it did last year. Last year I think the league build really, what's the word I'm looking for here? It really helped you if you were aggressive and if you played high and you went for steals and you just try to be really aggressive in the lanes. I feel like last year's league build really rewarded you for doing stuff like that. This year, you get absolutely cooked if you go for steals in the lane, especially in the pick and roll. You will get a buzz cut. It'll whiz right past your face. It's just not the same league build. And I think Cease has been playing really aggressively this year. And obviously the team is 5-1. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. But it's just different. And I think I'll be interested to see what kind of Cease we see in this series. He's going to have to get in his perimeter defensive bag a little bit more, I think. The Pistons love to spread you out, love to try to get up as many threes as you can. So this is a really fascinating matchup. This is a lot different than the playoff matchup of last year. Obviously, you have Mona in there now, who has been unbelievable this year to start the season. One of the best rookie centers in the league, maybe even the best rookie center so far in the league. Mana, I keep calling him Mona. Mana has been fantastic. And, ever since the Connor and Jomar small forward, power forward switch, they've been a little bit better defensively, but still probably not as good as you would expect a Pistons GT team with this much talent. I've gone a long time without really talking about Ant. I think Ant is going to absolutely cook in this matchup. Even in the loss last year, he put up pretty good numbers against his Warriors team, and I think you'll see that again. He's just in a mode where he's going to get big time numbers, and for a guy with an edge like him, I think he's going to have something special for the Warriors tomorrow. If I know him, he's been watching a ton of film, trying to figure out how to get past his Warriors team. This is really the one team that he's never been able to beat. He's been able to crack most of the other teams in the Western Conference, hasn't really been able to touch this Warriors team. So I think he's going to come out with something special. And of course, it's the Beast Move Bowl, man. Beast Move probably having the best season, maybe second best season of his career so far, due to shooting like 70% from the field. He gets so many open looks in this offense that it's stupid. And you immediately see why they ended up acquiring him. They traded B-Rich, and I get it. I think Beast Move is a little bit better off the dribble and creating his own shot against mismatches, and I think you've seen it this year. He has been spectacular, and he's the real X factor for this series. If he has more 30 bombs, if he ends up getting into the 30, 35 point per game range against this Warriors team, I think the Pistons actually have a chance to win. Would not be surprised if the Warriors put a lot of defensive attention over on the side of Beast Move and maybe try to hedge off of Connor and Jomar in the corners, who have been shooting just okay. I think that'll probably be where the Warriors try to attack them. Let those corners shoot a little bit. Try to get Nay on the boards, going up against Mana. Try to get Cease down there. Maybe get some plucks as well. So there's going to be a really fascinating matchup. I'm going to take the Warriors in 2. I think the Warriors will be able to pull off the sweep, but I think the Pistons are going to give them all they can handle. These are the 4 best teams in the West. I don't even think it's that close. I don't even know who the 5th would be at this point. I just think it's going to be these 4 teams dueling for supremacy all year long. I wouldn't even be surprised in the turn if it's the exact same 4 teams that we have right now, just in different matchups. And ironically, if it was different matchups, like if we had Pistons, T-Wolves, and Warriors, Bucks, I would have a completely different set of analysis and a completely different set of predictions. But hey, you gotta predict the matchups that you're given in front of you. And I'm really, really excited for tomorrow. I love Western Conference basketball. I love the pace and space. I love the 3-point shooting. I love the unique defenses and the eclectic characters that come with this conference. So I'm really, really excited for this series. I got Bucks in 3. I got Warriors in 2, setting up another Bucks-Warriors series. But I feel like you could say it's just another series, regardless if anybody wins. Oh, it's another T-Wolves-Warriors. Or, oh, it's another Bucks-Pistons. Like, these 4 teams have played against each other so goddamn much the past 2 or 3 years. So we're going to get some great games tomorrow. But that's going to do it here for an episode of Virtual Courtside. Nice, tight 25-minute episode. It'll be JT, myself, Tox will be on the broadcast a little bit tomorrow, and we'll have some other fun characters joining us tomorrow. Tox will only be on for about an hour, and we'll have a lot of other interesting guests. But yeah, I appreciate everybody supporting the pod. Apologies about missing the episode this week. We will try to get back into our usual schedule when Dirk comes back from his illness. But for now, appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow.